Good evening, everyone. I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday afternoon. I know that it's been a long day. A lot of folks were out and about at the St. Patty's Day parade. It was a decent day. Still feels quite nice outside, but we want to make sure that you're aware of the changes that are on the way. We do have an active wind advisory that's in effect for a large chunk of our area. It's in effect essentially because we have some winds that have been a little bit breezy already today, and that will continue to be the case as we head through the next couple of hours. These are storms. These are prefrontal wind gusts, 25 to 35 miles per hour across the region, and those numbers are actually going to kick up a little bit. They're out of the south, so that's why the numbers have warmed up. It's been a pleasant enough afternoon, but we are looking at the potential for some severe storms as we head through the evening hours, and this is going to be an elevated risk for severe weather. You can see that a large chunk of far west Georgia under a level 4 out of 5 risk for strong to severe storms. A level 3 extends for the other half of North Georgia, but essentially the risks are almost the exact same, just a higher chance and higher frequency the further west you are. There have been some updates today since the last few hours. Something that we have seen is that the part of extreme northwest Georgia has been elevated to about a 45% chance of seeing some strong wind gusts with these storms that roll through. And when we say strong, for some perspective, it takes 58 miles per hour for the National Weather Service to issue a severe thunderstorm warning as far as the gusts are concerned. A lot of the data that we're seeing here is indicating that we'll see some of these thunderstorms gust upwards of 70 miles per hour. So we're talking 70, 75, maybe even as high as an 80 miles per hour wind gust, especially in that area northwest of the city of Atlanta. But all of us have the chance of seeing some strong winds upwards of 70 miles per hour as this line moves through. So definitely something that we don't see that often across the region. Also looking at the potential for tornadoes, the tornado outbreak essentially already occurring across portions of Mississippi and Alabama, and that's expected to at least maintain some energy as it moves our way. So the potential for there to be strong EF2 tornadoes continues to be something that we're very concerned about as we head through the evening, especially for that pink area that you see highlighted there. That is going to be our highest risk. It's roughly a level 4 out of 5, so to speak. But it's what we consider to be a 15% risk of seeing a tornado. I know that number doesn't sound high, but just in general, on a regular March day, you got about a 0.4% chance of seeing a tornado. So instead of being like a 0.4, we're talking roughly 20, 25 times higher chance to see a tornado across the region. So that's definitely an elevated conversation for us this evening. I know that the probability is kind of weird, but just know that that 15% risk is a very high risk compared to what we typically see. And then we're looking at an elevated risk for the areas that you see that are highlighted in yellow. Still something we don't see very often across our region, and that's about a 10% chance of seeing a tornado. So a lot of folks have our First Alert Weather app downloaded. If you don't, all you have to do is search in the Play, Google Store, whichever device you use for A and F First Alert, and we will not only do these type of updates that I'm doing right now, but during the storms we will be tracking them live. We will alert you in case you're asleep or you're maybe hanging out watching TV, so that you'll know that these storms are moving in, so that you can get to your safe space. Just to be a little bit more blunt, we all need to have that plan for if we get a warning for a tornado. Everybody in the house needs to know where that meeting place is. Have that conversation now so that if it does move into your neighborhood, you all can move there. And the only people that you have to go and assist are maybe the babies, the young kids, or the elderly. So everyone else needs to know where that meeting place is in the house, and that needs to be pre-decided. We're also looking at a risk for some hail. Out of all of the different severe parameters that we typically look at for storms, this is going to be the one that is the least likely to impact the most folks. There will be some hail that's sizable. We could see up to a quarter inch or quarter size hail, about an inch in diameter. That's possible across the region. We expect the best chance for that to be further to the west, and gradually see the chance for hail decrease, and maybe the hail gets a little bit smaller the further east you go. But the wind and the tornado potential really a beast. Right now we have some active tornado watches across portions of Mississippi and Alabama, and you can see there's a lot of energy in the atmosphere in Mississippi and Alabama right now. Just this little area that you see query here, and I can make this a little bit bigger just so that you guys can see the map for a little while. lots of lightning, over 2,100 lightning strikes in the last 5 minutes or so. Some very active storms along this line. I know that this is still a little ways away, but just in case you're curious as to what's moving in our direction, these purple polygons that you see here, they are confirmed tornadoes. They're either confirmed by radar, because our radar has the ability to actually look at debris that is tossed into the air, or they are confirmed by eyes on the ground seeing the storm. Either way, if you see debris lofted in the air, you know that that funnel cloud has made contact with the ground, and that increases our confidence in saying that that tornado is confirmed. And what we are tracking are several confirmed tornadoes moving just to the north of Hattiesburg, Mississippi, through Laurel, Mississippi. It looks like we have a confirmed tornado in Meridian, Mississippi. So if you know anything about this area, this is not something that's atypical for them to see tornadoes, but seeing 3 confirmed tornadoes at one time, that's going to be an elevated situation. We were tracking tornadoes through parts of Mississippi last night, very early this morning. We were watching that. So this is their second round, so to speak, with this system. And it's lifting off towards the north and east. This is just outside of that western edge of Alabama, but there are some storms that are very active in Alabama at this moment as well. We have some tornado warnings. Keep in mind, the red polygons are just tornado warnings. There are indications on radar that there is rotation in the atmosphere, and it either can touch the ground, will touch the ground, or is touching the ground. We can look in the atmosphere and pick up on that rotation very easily, and that's what we're seeing here, and that is just to the south and west of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So that is heading in the direction of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Scattered storms stretching all the way to the north and east through Birmingham and into the Huntsville area. Right now, the northern line, the northern edge of that line, is just pretty much producing some severe thunderstorms, but still very active. And once again, not just the potential to see 58, 60 miles per hour wind gusts, but at times these gusts could gust upwards of 70, 75. So a serious situation as this line continues to march our way. The big question, obviously, is the timeline for us here at home. And I do think that we're still looking at far northwest Georgia, seeing this start to arrive around 7 p.m. Far northwest Georgia, sliding further south and east, making its way into northwest metro around 10 o'clock and then pushing to the east. But we can actually dive into some of the data. I'm going to go back big again just so that we can have the full screen to look at this information. And I know there are a lot of folks that are joining us on YouTube. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section. I'll try to get to you. I know that there's going to be a lot of questions about the data because there's a lot here, so we got you covered. We can look at a lot of different elements of the atmosphere. This is something that we call significant tornado parameter, and what it allows us to do is take all of the different ingredients that it takes to produce a tornado, the shear, the moisture, all of those different things, and plot them out on a scale 1 to 10 as far as how many of those ingredients are together and the likelihood of seeing a tornado come to fruition. And so that's what this significant threat allows us to calculate. And we see that this is at a roughly a 1 out of 5 at around 7 o'clock. So there's some energy there. We could see a rogue situation, but as far as it being like, oh, it's happening, it could go either way at 7 o'clock. As we advance in time, we start to see those colors get a little bit brighter. We start to see the yellows, the oranges start to move into far west Georgia. That means that more of those ingredients are aligning. And whenever you start to see those ingredients coming together like that, you start to really be concerned about the potential for there to be a tornado or two at that point. So the tornado risk will be going up as we go from roughly 9 to 10 o'clock for far west Georgia, moving into the metro as we approach the early morning hours. And unfortunately, this is going to be a slow mover. You can see if you're looking at the orientation of those storms that were moving through portions of Alabama and Mississippi, they're basically moving from the southwest to the northeast. So these are going to be slow movers. The whole line is pushing to the east in general, but the flow of the individual cells are more from the southwest to the northeast. So the whole line is trying to go like this. I'm actually doing this backwards because it's TV, but you got the storms at the same time going like this, right? So it's going to be an interesting situation. It's going to be a slow mover. We're going to be dealing with these storms for several hours, and then eventually we'll start to see those numbers as far as the significant threat start to decrease as we go forward in time and get into the early morning hours. I do want to dive into the hour by hour of our data. When is this line of storms starting to push in? So we'll go wide view one more time so that we can see a little bit more of the screen. Everybody can kind of lock onto their counties with a map like this. I know that a lot of viewers are looking for Marietta, Alpharetta, Forest Park. I'm over in Greensboro. I'm in Oglethorpe County, Clark County, Athens, yada, yada, yada. I'm down in Troup County. I'm in Wedowee. Look for your county on the map and look to see whenever those storms start to move in. And at that point, that's whenever you should know, hey, this is on our doorstep, right? So I think at 7 o'clock, spotty shower, maybe a stray storm in far northwest Georgia. This is going to be just outside of our viewing area. I think we're still good through 7. But as we get closer to 8 and 9, that main line, a lot of that energy is starting to dive in. So I'm looking at folks that are out in Chattooga, Floyd counties. I'm looking at Polk County, Haralson, Heard, Carroll. You're starting to get in on that action. And folks that are out in East Alabama, we do have 2 counties in East Alabama that we actually serve. We got viewers in Cleburne and Randolph counties. You're going to be seeing this early as well. So around 9, 10 o'clock, those storms will start to spiral and develop and fire up in your area. And you'll be wanting to stay dialed in with us as we track those storms for you as well. Pushing to the east as we head through the very early morning. By 12 midnight, this is over the heart of Atlanta. But once again, remember, these storms are moving from the southwest to the northeast as the line itself as progressing to the east. So it's going to be with us for a while. 3, 4 o'clock, we were not going to expect to see things start to dry out for far west metro until about 4 o'clock. Still dealing with it. Atlanta and points to the east. This isn't really going to clear out until early in the morning. So we have a lot of energy out there, a lot of storms, a lot of ingredients that are really just elevated, which is why tonight is a first alert weather day. I want to make sure that everyone knows, I know that it feels great outside today. I know that a lot of folks have been to the parade. There is a lull. The most important thing that I can tell you is don't get lured into that, I'm country, y'all know that. Don't get lured into a false sense of security because it's nice outside right now. It's supposed to be. We're in that slot where we're just really just allowing the atmosphere to heat up. Temperatures are soaring into the 70s. Some folks flirting with 80 degrees because of this breeze out of the south. And that's just bringing in moisture, elevating those dew points, just giving us energy into this atmosphere as these storms will start to move in. They'll be able to tap into. The most important thing that you can do is be weather aware this evening. We read the comments and, we've been talking about this since last week, and our conversation has gradually elevated each day because with events like this, and, we were talking about this in the Weather Center. Sometimes whenever you have events, it's conditional, right? We're telling you guys, hey, we're looking at the atmosphere. There's a chance that we could see X, Y, Z. We're looking to see what the dew points do the day of. With this event, the closer we got to it, the more the ingredients were like, this isn't a conditional, this is how widespread will it be? Obviously, we want people to be safe. If you go to atlantanewsfirst.com, our big push over the last 24 hours is making sure everyone knows where there are shelters in your communities, not because everybody's going to get everything, but because there are some folks who are scared, right? And maybe you live in a home where you've been hit by a tornado before and being at home scares you. You can go to a shelter. Maybe you live in a mobile home. A lot of times we always do these conversations about people who live in mobile homes and how it's the worst place to be in a tornado. Doesn't mean you shouldn't live in one. It just means that whenever there is a chance for tornadoes, you know where to go to be safe. And that place right now is going to be to find one of those shelters. I believe at last count, I've seen like 8 to 10 shelters across North Georgia, stretching from Troup County all the way to Pickens County. I know there's several in DeKalb County. So the big push right now is for folks to be informed on their options so that just in case one of these storms that produce 70 to 80 miles per hour wind gusts or spiral a tornado out of the sky moves into your neighborhood, you are safe. That is our primary goal. And if that means that to some folks in the comments, they may think that it's, a hyping. It's not. We're looking at the data. The data lines up. If that's what it takes to get people to act, that's what it takes to get people to act. But we're showing you data as we see it. If you've been with us this week, we've walked you through every step of our process. First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Valdez has been giving you guys those updates throughout the day. Our morning team has been doing it, and we first alerted this system last weekend because even 7 days ago, we could tell that, that's going to be a turbulent environment. How turbulent? We don't know, but it's looking messy. And every day we've got some clarity, and every day we've changed that conversation. What's going on, Caleb, Ethan? What's going on? Where are you joining us from? Dawson Flip, hello. Thank you for joining us on the YouTube stream. And Ashwant the Explorer, hello. Hello, good evening. We got some folks joining us in the stream. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop those questions. Aaron, do you know how many shelters we found for folks? Talking to one of our digital producers, and he writes a lot of our articles that are on our website, so he's the person to ask. It's going to take just a second to look for the list, but there's tons of them. I know for sure we were looking for them yesterday, and they're on our website, atlantanewsfirst.com. You can go and look for your county, see where the closest shelter is to you, and if you are concerned, that can be your move. I do want to go back just a little bit to the radar because I want us to dive into these storms, to be completely honest. It's very, very messy on First Alert radar. Let's see here. There we go. Plenty of storms now just firing up. And you can see we're still looking at a lot of purple polygons here. So that means that there are still several confirmed tornadoes on the ground moving through portions of Mississippi. That's going to be to the south of Jackson. I can zoom in there. That's going to be in the Laurel area. We'll get back to that in a few minutes. Let's talk about what you can do whenever we have these storms moving through, because that's important. You know, what action do you take? You know, we've been talking about it. We've been telling you, hey, this is going to get messy. What do you do? Have a way to get your alerts. I keep telling y'all the First Alert weather app is my best friend, but it is. Turn the notifications on. It will tell you about warnings wherever you are. If you live in Atlanta and you decide to go to Wedowee, it'll tell you the alerts for where you are located based off of GPS. You got a number for me, Aaron? So we have more than 15 shelters on our website, guys. So that number has been changing. Obviously, our team has been digging. Our whole goal here at Atlanta News First is to keep you safe, to keep you aware, number one, and to keep you safe. And it's not just enough to tell you that you shouldn't be in a mobile home during a tornado or during the potential for a 70 miles per hour wind event across the region. We got 15 different shelters across our viewing area, which means that if you get us on TV, and you follow us, there are 15 shelters that are within the sound of my voice and yours that you can go to if you're at all nervous. And these are county shelters, so there's no charge. I had a lady that reached out, I think it was yesterday. She was going to go out of town and she was going to go get a hotel room. And I was like, don't do that. You're wasting money. Just go and stay in one of these shelters. You're just as safe. And that's going to be the move. So Betty Smith joining us from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Good evening. Or good afternoon, I guess. You guys are getting the same line that we're going to be getting. So I hope that you are staying safe with your team that's in Chattanooga, following them and heeding their advice and staying alerted. Even though you're in Chattanooga, our app will tell you when the warnings are there. It's just that whenever we do videos, you'll be just to the north of where our coverage ends, but you'll be able to see Chattanooga on the map, so you can actually look at the radar on the First Alert weather app. Let's get back to that graphic that we were talking about. Having a way to get multiple alerts. Your phone is a good way. Atlanta News First Alert weather app. I'm not gonna say it no more. If you have a weather radio, that's another way. But what do you do whenever you get that alert? Your phone goes off. The First Alert weather app says, hey, there's a tornado warning in your area. You need to move to your safe space, right? Safe space is going to be in the lowest level of your house, and it is going to be an interior room. What does that mean? You want to get away from, most structures have outer walls, right? 4, 5, 6, depends on how big your house is. You know, I live in an apartment, so I have 4. So I'm looking for the interior room in my apartment. The interior room for me is either going to be my closet or my walk-in closet. My closet or my bathroom, sorry. I'm going to go to the closet just because, you know, there's stuff around. There's clothes and things that can help me out. I got blankets in there. That's going to be the place for me. But that's going to be your best bet. There are some folks who have basements. Obviously, if you have a basement, that's going to be your number one spot to go. You're underground. Whatever happens upstairs, you will not be a part of. So that will be the number one place, the safest place in the house. There are shelters that I just mentioned that are county-run shelters, but there are some folks who actually have shelters at home as well. A lot of these shelters are not in-the-ground shelters. From what I've seen here, the shelters I've seen have just been these structures that you've purchased. That's going to be a good move. That's going to be a good place to go. And you take your shoes, some nice shoes that, if you got boots, take your steel-toed boots with you. A helmet, guys. I know it sounds silly, but a bicycle helmet could be your best friend. I'm not telling everybody to go out right now and go to Walmart or Target to go and get a helmet. But if you have a helmet, that's going to be the move. A lot of the deaths that happen during tornadoes happen because of blunt force trauma to the head. Something as simple as a bicycle helmet, can increase your rate of survival. So I know that this sounds like this is a doom and gloom stream and conversation, but just keeping it real, these are things that you should always kind of like have in mind anyways, even if it's not for right now. If you can't get to the store to get it today, just keep in the back of mind for the next storm. We're going to look on Amazon, look to see when I can get a helmet. That's going to be something that could really help. Our whole goal here is about tangibles, right? Give you things that you can use. So you take your helmet, you take your shoes, you take a bottle of water, and you take your phone, because we got you covered here at Atlanta News First. I want to give you one more look at the radar, then I'll let you guys go. I know that it's busy and it feels nice outside, and a lot of y'all are trying to get you some dinner, XYZ. This line of storms is off to the west, and there is still time to get things done that you need to do. If you do have lawn furniture, if this place is big enough to bring your lawn furniture in, smart. If it's not, move it very, very close to the house. If you can tie it some kind of way, that can secure it. The closer it is to the house, the less it will be likely to get caught up in wind and become projectiles. So that's just something that you would want to do. Same thing for a trash can. Move it as close to the house as possible. Try to weigh it down and lock it in place somehow, either by tying it or putting a brick or something against it so it doesn't move. All of those things are things you can do to just kind of like keep your space, good if and when the winds start to kick up. But let's dive into these storms. I want to see where the action is and see, do we still have confirmed tornadoes? And we still have at least 2 confirmed tornadoes active right now across portions of Mississippi. This is north of Hattiesburg, moving through the Laurel area, pushing towards the north and east. And then there's another one approaching Meridian, actually moving through Meridian right now, crossing over I-20, just to the east of Forest, Mississippi, heading towards Philadelphia, Mississippi. So definitely a very active storm. Looks like the wind could kick up out in Demopolis, Alabama, but this line stretches all the way to the north and east. You got a very strong thunderstorm moving just to the west of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. You can see lots of lightning strikes with that system. That is a tornado warning cell, likely producing some hail that's probably pretty significant in that region, moving to the north and east. And then, of course, just to the west of us, out in Huntsville, you can see there's a lot of electricity out in that region right now. Severe thunderstorm warnings active on the northern flank of that line. So this is going to be a very long evening, guys. We're going to do these updates probably at the top of every hour until we need to go on TV. For now, just stay weather aware, stay dialed in. We got you covered. Breathe. I know that the people that I've talked to, I talked to somebody at the barbershop yesterday about, all of this conversation, and it kind of gets you a little anxious, right? The whole goal is to breathe. You're aware now, right? So you know what's coming. What can you do? You can react to what's coming. You can move into that safe space if you get a warning. You can have a way to make sure you can get that warning, especially since the bulk of this line moves in overnight. Nocturnal storms, nocturnal tornadoes are the worst. The thing to remember is, don't try to be a hero. Don't try to go out and get video. Don't try to look for the funnel if you get a warning. Just move and go in. We got people that, they have trained. They've been doing this kind of stuff all their lives to do this. We don't need you to be our eyes. We need you to be eyes that wake up the next day, right? That's our whole goal. So I will continue to dive into this information, guys. First Alert meteorologist JD Disharon will be doing the next update at 5. We have a newscast at 6 that will be streaming only, and we will continue to keep you guys updated. Y'all have a fantastic evening. Stay safe. More importantly, stay informed. Y'all have a good night.